Hi everyone, I'm Sarah, and this is Brielle, my daughter. She's going to be my helper today. We haven't brushed her hair yet this morning. Sorry. So I am a certified holistic health coach. I'm the owner of Finding Your Well Spot, and I'm partnered with USANA Health Sciences. So since we're back in school, Brielle doesn't have school today, but she will on Thursday. Since we're back in school, we need healthy things for lunches for kids at school so they can stay alert, stay focused, and they don't have that sugar crash. Because most of the time, we like to fill our kids' lunches with convenient snacks, which usually have a lot of sugar in them, which doesn't serve a purpose at school. Don't play with your hair right now. So today, we are going to make a healthy version of Fruit by the Foot. So usually the Fruit by the Foot that we find in the store, is it healthy, Brielle? No. Has lots of sugar. It's basically plastic. So we're going to make a healthy version of Fruit by the Foot using real berries. So I can't take the credit for this recipe. It actually comes from Danielle Walker. She is the founder of Against All Grain, and she came up with this recipe. So basically what you need is 4 cups of frozen berries, or you could use fresh berries, and they can be mixed. Today we're going to just use strawberries because that's all I had. So I don't like measuring, so I'm just going to pour in the whole bag of frozen strawberries into my pot. I have my pot right here. And then we're also going to add, I had leftover cucumber and that I want to get rid of. So cucumber, Brielle, you want a cucumber?
I want frozen strawberry.
You want a frozen strawberry. So I'm just going to add a little bit of cucumber. It's probably maybe half a cup of that.
I want frozen strawberry.
We had some blueberries left over that need to be eaten. You want a blueberry? So we're just going to add the rest of our blueberries. Again, maybe only half a cup. So if you have leftover vegetables or fruit that you just want to get rid of, you could just chuck it all in here and get rid of it that way. I also like to use greens. Sorry, honey. So the greens that I'm using are actually from Costco. And it's a mix of them. So it's a mix of chard, spinach, kale, and I freeze it all the time because I use it mostly in smoothies only, or I'll use it in these homemade Fruit by the Foot. So I'm just going to take a handful and sprinkle that in there. So you're going to have fruits and vegetables into these homemade Fruit by the Foots. We're also going to add about a teaspoon. I'm going to add maybe about 2 teaspoons of fresh lemon juice. I just squeezed that, so I'm going to pour that into my pots. I'm also going to add, so if you're using frozen berries, you can use unsweetened applesauce. You're going to use about a half a cup of that. If you're using fresh berries, since really a lot of people have a lot of berries right now that are fresh, if you're looking for a use for them, you can use them in this. And instead of using the applesauce, you could use apple juice, unsweetened apple juice instead, and put it in this recipe. Put that over here. Brielle's digging into the honey. And we're also going to use some unpasteurized honey. So unpasteurized honey is much better for you than pasteurized honey because then it doesn't kill all the enzymes and good nutrients that is in honey. So since I added more greens into my homemade Fruit by the Foot, I'm going to add a little bit extra honey just to sweeten it so it doesn't have that bitter taste to it. So I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons. Brielle, get out of there. Of honey. As you can tell, she likes honey. It's a much better choice than processed white sugar. So I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons. If your kids are not used to vegetables, you might want to add a little bit more to make it a bit sweeter until their taste buds start to change and get used to having a more bitter taste sometimes. But it's not too bitter, honestly, or else my kids wouldn't eat it.
I like this kind of honey.
You do like that kind of honey?
Uh-huh. I want you to buy it all the time.
We do buy it all the time. So once it's all in the pot, you're going to just turn your burner on to medium-high, and you're going to just mix all those ingredients together, and you're going to leave it in there for about 20 minutes, maybe longer if your berries are nice and frozen like mine. Mine are even a little bit freezer burnt. Surprise, surprise, so it might be 30 minutes. And you're just going to let everything kind of join together, get the berries to pop, let the water evaporate a little bit, like the liquid evaporate a little bit. And then after that, we're going to blend it later. So I won't let you sit here for the next 20, 30 minutes. We'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. So I'll just show you what it looks like right now. You can see in my pot. Can you see in my pot? Oh, my mixture. So we'll just take a quick little break and we'll come back and I'll show you what it looks like. Hi, we're back. So we're making homemade fruit by the foot today because it's a healthier option. You can control how much sweetener you're putting in it, and in this case we're putting in unpasteurized honey, a natural sweetener, which is a better choice than the processed white sugar. So we finally took our stuff out of the pot. Once the berries have popped and everything is kind of melded together after 20 minutes, you're going to put it in a high-speed blender. So we just have a Ninja, that's what we use, and it does the job pretty good. So you want to make sure it's really, really smooth. And when you have the lid on when you're blending it, especially if you're blending hot stuff, don't play with your hair at the you want to make sure that you leave an opening so the steam can get out. So this is my lid. I leave this as an opening. Just kind of leave it open and put some paper towel over the top so it doesn't spray everywhere.
Dad, I'm going to taste it.
But you want to make sure that the steam can evaporate or else you're going to have a big mess on your hand. So here you go. You can taste it. I always make sure, like, I either taste it or the kids will taste it to make sure that it's sweet enough. Because sometimes with adding the extra greens, like I said, it might be too bitter for them.
Super good.
So instead of drying them out and them not liking it, as this kid is doing here, you want to make sure it's sweet enough. So we put about a good 2 tablespoons of honey in there to sweeten up this one because we put a lot of greens in. If your kids aren't used to vegetables or greens, a really great one to start with is spinach. It's super mild. I know right now a lot of people are picking zucchini, so if you have zucchini and you don't know what to do with it, you could put the zucchini in here as well, which is a great option. So I don't have a dehydrator. If you have one, great. You can just spread this out on your dehydrating sheets and put it in your dehydrator, and then your fruit by the foot will be made. What I do, I dehydrate it in my oven. So you want to put it on the lowest setting that your oven will go on. And in my case, it's 170 degrees Fahrenheit. And then what I do, I have lots of layers here. I take a cookie sheet, and then I put a rack on. Then I put one of these mats over top, just to give it a bit more of a sturdy base. And then after that, I just put, yes, honey, parchment paper over top. So then therefore, I have this layer like this. I don't know if you can see it. I don't have the best camera method right now. So all you're going to do is you're going to take your mixture after you blend it really good, and you want to make sure it's blended well so all those greens are good and mixed. You're just going to pour about half the mixture onto the cookie sheet. Don't put your finger in this one, okay? Because that will be gross. All right. So about half the mixture there. And then what you're going to do, if you can see this, see how half the mixture is there? You're going to just spread it evenly over the cookie sheet so it's nice and even. You don't want it to be too thick and you don't want it to be too thin. So you'll kind of get the idea of what thickness you want, and try to make it, I'm going to have to just go like this here. Try to make it as even as possible. Don't play with your hair, especially now, okay? Yeah, that would not be good. And with me, I don't enjoy baking at all, so I like to pick easy things to do. Plus, I'm not one that is very fussy on appearance. Ooh. So none of my stuff looks incredibly pretty like some people's baking, so I apologize for that. If you're one of those people that like it to be pretty, you can do yours pretty. So I'm just spreading it out as even as possible. And then once you're done, oh my gosh, my daughter's just licking up this lid here. Do you like it, do you think?
I do like it.
You do like it. So the reason I put it on wax paper afterwards is once you have it spread out as evenly as possible. See, I'm not very good at this. It takes me a long time sometimes.
Pinkish color.
Once it's all spread out on your sheet, you're going to put it in the oven, and then once it's dried out, you're going to just take the parchment paper, you're going to take scissors to it, and you're just going to cut strips and then roll them up like a fruit by the foot. That's all it is. So that's why I put it on either wax paper or parchment paper afterwards. So then that way the cleanup's really easy. You're just cutting strips and making your own fruit by the foots that way. So you're going to put that in the oven. Depending if you're using a dehydrator or your oven, you'll have to check it to see how long it takes. So it's going to take at least maybe 4 hours in the oven.
On my nose.
Just touch it. Depends how thin you make it too. So just touch it. If the stickiness is kind of gone, then you know that it's dried enough and you could probably take it out. If you overdo it, no problem. If it's a little dried out, just take a brush and wet it. And you could just go over top of it and it will rehydrate it a bit and it won't be so crunchy and dried out.
And there's pink stuff.
Oh my gosh. So you could bring it back to life that way. So this is a great thing to add into kids' lunches. Again, don't be afraid to experiment and put different things in and see what they like. And yeah, it's one of Brielle's favorite. As you can tell, she's just licking up the lid. Okay, so I'm going to do my second one.
I'm going to wipe my nose.
I'm going to try my best to do more of these little projects with you guys because I know a lot of people have been asking for healthy lunch ideas. So here's my first one, and we'll see how the rest go. All right, have a great day. Any questions, just leave it in the comment boxes below, and I will try and get to them.